because the Democrats decided to leave town before they could call a quorum for the purpose of redistricting the states just before the 2026 elections. Not too long ago, it was the Republican-controlled House, their leader, Johnson, decided to leave town because they did not want to have a vote regarding the releasing of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Tyrone Bowman live. Let's talk about it. So the Republican-controlled Texas House approved the arrest of Democrats who fled the state. Democratic lawmakers fled to Illinois and other states Sunday in a bid to deny Republicans a quorum when the state House meets today. According to NBC News, the Texas State House briefly reconvened Monday afternoon amid a nationally watched clash over the GOP majority's plan to redraw the state's congressional lines, with Republican lawmakers voting to approve civil arrest warrants targeting the dozens of Democrats who fled the state, blocking Republicans from proceeding with the plan. But why would the Democrats go along with an insidious plan? It makes no kind of sense. You all want to try to rig the 2026 upcoming midterm elections because you know people are fed up and they're going to come out in the multiplied millions or the hundreds of thousands, I think millions, and vote overwhelmingly for Congress to change. The bulk of the 50-plus Democrats who left the state are in Illinois, where they've been welcomed by Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker. Others are in Boston and in Albany, New York, where Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul, in response to Texas, is pushing for a change in state law to allow redistricting in future years. They're beyond the reach of the state's Sergeant at Arms and the Texas Department of Public Safety. The warrants may have little practical effect. But back home, the Democrats facing mounting fines, and Republican Governor Greg Abbott is threatening to boot the state Democratic lawmakers from office or send law enforcement to force them to return to the state. Well, you know, what about the Republicans always obstructing, always grandstanding? You know, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. All throughout the second term of President Trump, they have done any and everything to make sure that the Democrats have been trying to make them feel less, are deciding to stand up for themselves. They're fed up with these do-nothing obstructionists within the Republican MAGA party. Now they're mad. Now they're angry. Now they're upset. Because House business requires a quorum, 51 out of the state 62 Democratic House members can, by remaining out of state, prevent the Republican-led House from moving forward with legislation. What good is the arrest going to do? It's civil. It's not criminal. I think the Democrats would gladly, welcomingly be arrested. Standing up for democracy. Standing up for decency. Standing up for everyday people. The economy is in turmoil. The Secretary of Labor was recently fired because he told the truth, so they fired him. No matter how you spin it, no matter how you try to put a glass ice over top of everything, America's in trouble. People are losing their jobs. Houses are being foreclosed on. Farmers are complaining. Their crops are rotting. People are working 3, 4, and 5 shifts in an attempt to try to make ends meet. And they're saying, there's nothing wrong. We're going to build a $250 million banquet hall. See? We destroyed the Rose Garden, and we're going to pave it with concrete. There's nothing wrong in America. Everything is wonderful in America. You people need to stop complaining so much. That is the consensus coming from the so-called leaders in the Republican House. So those absences deprived the House of its quorum, a reality confirmed quickly after legislators gravelled in Monday afternoon. Republican Speaker Dustin Burrows admonished the dozens of Democrats who fled the state as having, quote, abandoned their post and turned their backs on the constituents they swore to represent. Really? What about you all upholding the Constitution of the United States yourself? Now you want law. Now you want to abide by the rules. Now they're upset because the Democrats have finally got a spine and they're ready for battle. They're ready for political warfare. They're ready to engage head on. All across the country, these Republicans go to meet their constituents and they're angry. They're upset because they say this is not what we voted for. And they're saying, yes, you did. And of course, you're going to blame everything on Biden. Biden, Obama, Biden, Obama, Obama, Biden, Biden, Obama, Obama, Biden. When are they going to accept responsibility that they are the majority in power? So everything that happens, it's under their watch. And if President Trump does get a third term, well, the Democrats are going to run Obama. Believe it or not, that will be the ticket. Quote, they've shrunk their responsibilities under the direction and pressure of out-of-state politicians and activists who don't know the first thing about what's right for Texas. He said, really? Why? Because you say so? You think everything y'all do in Texas is right? Wrong. Unemployment is sky high in Texas. Racism and bigotry is on parade in Texas. Leaving the state does not stop this House from doing its work. It only delays it, he added. Republican lawmakers immediately, under House rules, locked the chamber doors and moved for the sergeant at arms to send for the absconded lawmakers. Arrest them. That's what they want. They want them arrested because they call them absconded lawmakers. Under a warrant of arrest if necessary. Burroughs adjourned the chamber until Tuesday until reported shortly after that he followed through on the House vote and signed those civil arrest warrants. See how well it goes for you. It's not the first time Democrats in Texas have fed the state to gum up the legislative works in protest of legislation they oppose. That's what they're supposed to do, oppose it. They did so in 2021 over GOP-backed changes to voting laws. Why is it that every time the midterm elections come up, these people want to rewrite the laws? They want everything in their favor because all they do is lie, cheat, rig, and steal. That's what the Republicans do. You can try to spin it any kind of way you want. That's what it comes down to. And when the individuals are tired of being taken advantage of, then they begin to stand up for themselves. Nobody likes a bully. You know, when bullies meet their match, they